Hey guys, I just wanted to come on here with a quick one because it is late at night, it's almost 10 p.m. But today holds significance for me. Also, I got a cat with me right here. Ninja. Ninja. Today holds significance for me. So today is May 4th, 2024. And on May 4th, 2021, so 3 years ago to the date, was when I was diagnosed with reactive hypoglycemia. Actually, it's when I started knowing there was something wrong with my blood sugar, which turned out to be reactive hypoglycemia. So the journey started on this day. Originally, we were actually thinking it was CFRD, which is cystic fibrosis related diabetes. But my blood sugar wasn't going high, it was going low. And so this was the day that I started having to monitor that. And I haven't stopped since for 3 years straight. I've never had a day off since, really, of that. I've had days off where my sugar doesn't go low, but I've never had a day off of having to monitor it. It was June of 2021 when I did the 3-day test in the ICU, and I think I have a video not explaining the whole thing very well, but I have a video from back then that's like in the ICU 2021 calm down or something like that. And that's where I did the 3-day fasting challenge, which ended up being about 2.5 days because you have to drop your blood sugar to 50. So it wasn't a full 3 days, it was like 2.5 days. And that's when I got the official diagnosis and the label on it of reactive hypoglycemia. But today, May 4th, was the day that I started on this craziness. And it's interesting to me that it's been 3 years already. In some ways it feels like it's been forever, and in some ways it feels like it has not been a full 3 years now of dealing with this. I'm thankful that I have some tools in my can't think of the word, it's late at night, have some tools in my shed or gallery or anyway. And so I have the Dexcom now, which makes life a lot easier, except for lately when it's making me bleed everywhere and then the Dexcoms fail. But that's beside the point. I have the Dexcom now, which makes life easier. Like, for example, when I'm going horseback riding in a couple of days, which I'm so excited about, I have that. And I've learned my body. I've learned what foods to avoid, what foods are okay, what foods are just like, you eat this, you're going to go low. For example, chips. If you hear yelling in the background, my dad's watching baseball. Chips, ice cream, Taco Bell, that's one. Just a couple of examples of things that, like, if I eat this, I know for a fact my blood sugar is going to go double down. So I just don't eat them. And if I do want to eat them, like, for example, chips, sometimes I miss them, I'll eat like 1 or 2 chips at a time instead of a serving, or I'll eat, I just know I'm going to go low, but I try not to do that. And then there's also the foods that I know that are better for me, like high fat, high protein, any type of meat, pretty much, as safe, salads, things like that. And for a while, I tried to like stick to this exact diet, but even then I was still going low. And so I kind of don't do that anymore. I avoid those certain foods where I know that I'm just no chance of not going low. And if you're new here, reactive hypoglycemia is basically the opposite of diabetes, where my blood sugar, instead of going really high if I eat something with high carbohydrates, it goes really low because my pancreas freaks out and thinks we need to release way too much insulin into my system. So that's the very basic version of reactive hypoglycemia. And so I've learned that, but I've also learned to not restrict myself so much because I don't want to restrict foods. And I went through a period of that, and that's a whole nother video, but I went through a period of that after the diagnosis, and I've learned from my brain that is not a healthy thing for me mentally, so I don't restrict my diet in that regard. And then I've also learned that my freedom time, or the time where I don't have to worry about going low, is in the morning before breakfast. So most people, if they're going to be doing stuff, they'll eat breakfast and then go about their day. For me, like when I go horseback riding in a couple days, I will not eat until after the lesson, which is why I made the lesson for earlier in the morning. If I have CF appointments, I make them for earlier in the morning, so I don't have to eat until afterwards. So I've learned that as long as 99.9% of the time, as long as I don't eat before I do some kind of like big activity in the morning, then I'm good. And then also late at night, typically around like 10 to bedtime, my sugar starts to get a little bit better. Not all the time, but most of the time it starts to get better in the evenings as well. So I've learned things about my body. That was a whole synopsis of that in these last 3 years. I've had a lot of help. I have a friend that has CFRD. That's not reactive hypoglycemia, but he kind of helped guide me through the process of learning to live with blood sugar. I have an endocrinologist. Well, actually, don't have an endocrinologist right now. I had an endocrinologist. I moved from Arkansas to Florida. Then I had another endocrinologist that retired, and I get one back in August. But I have had endocrinology help, learning things. Reactive hypoglycemia isn't as well researched or as well known as diabetes, so it's a little bit harder to treat because it just hasn't had the funding, like, and learning process of diabetes, because it's rare. I don't know how rare, but it's pretty rare. Yay for awareness. Could it develop into diabetes someday? Honestly, I don't know. I don't know. It could stay like this forever, or it could develop into diabetes. We don't know. It's a kind of a wait and see thing, but it has been 3 years of this so far, and there's no sign of like super high blood sugars. So it hasn't been an easy 3 years, especially because it came right around the time when I got this like year break, ironically in 2020. It came right around the time when I started Trikafta, so CF lung-wise and hospital stays was getting much, much better. And in 2020, I had this year of like complete freedom from, it felt like at least, complete freedom from chronic illness. I still had it, but it felt like complete freedom. So I had like this year break, and I'm very thankful for that year break now. And then in came the reactive hypoglycemia in 2021, about almost exactly a month after I lost Panda. I lost Panda April 5th, 2021, and then I got diagnosed with this May 4th, 2021. So it was a whole not fun time of my life, but I am very thankful to still be here 3 years later. I'm very thankful that I can't say I don't have panic attacks about blood sugar, because I do still, my lows do trigger panic attacks, which has increased my anxiety. But I've also lived with this for 3 years, and yeah, here's many more. And as I think even as more time goes on, I'll learn more about my body. I'll learn more about what foods help it and what exercises I can do and such whatnot. And yeah, so it's not easy living with what's essentially 2 chronic illnesses. 3, not chronic illness, but 3 if you count PMDD, premenstrual dysphoric disorder, which is a mental thing. So kind of like 3 things that I kind of battle, but you know what? We're still here. We're still strong. I'm very lucky to be as healthy as I am, going into being 26 years old. So yeah, it's been 3 years. Here's to many more. Thank you for sticking around on with me for this journey, whether you've been here since before reactive hypoglycemia or you've been here since yesterday. Thank you for sticking with me on this journey. I've got a lot of cute cats that I can show you. Ninja. Just ignore me now. And yeah, that's my thoughts for tonight.